Okay, so we're up to way number 18, which is B'miyot Tanug. So effectively, this is harnessing the power of pleasure. So we all know what pleasure looks like, right? To us, hot apple pie with ice cream, or diving into a pool on a hot summer day, or having a great cup of morning coffee, or whatever. So the world is filled with amazing pleasures, physical pleasures that entice our five senses. There are contrary views on how to look at pleasure, right? So, the aesthetics view would be to shun pleasure, that, it's conceding to your base desires, and, you should focus solely on the spiritual. A hedonist, on the other hand, believes that physical gratification is all there is, right? Eat, drink, be merry, for tomorrow we die. What's the Torah's perspective on this? So we take a middle road, right? We look at the fact that God created a physical world for us to enjoy. He created the world for us to have pleasure. The Gemara says, the Talmud says that if a person has the opportunity to taste a new fruit and refuses to do so, he will actually have to answer for it when he comes up to Shemayim, when he comes up to heaven. So God could have created the world with like a bland porridge that could give us all the sustenance we need, and yet he created this panoply of incredible looking, feeling, tasting, smelling things that are nutritious for us. It's a gift. It's for our pleasure. So imagine that your spouse said to you, I made a beautiful 4-course dinner, and you say to them, I'm not hungry. Right? What do you mean you're not hungry? I made all this for you to enjoy. So we have to look at the world that Hashem created and understand that as well. And it's a necessary medium to bring us to holiness, or to bring the holiness into this world. Our primary view of the role that the material world plays in Judaism is that it's our job to elevate the mundane. Right? So there's a downside to it. Right? The physical world has the ability to trap us. You ever try to open a can of Pringles and eat just one? You know how you can find yourself tapping the bottom of the can to get the crumbs out, 15 minutes later. And why does that happen? How does that happen? Because the physical world is very enticing. So physical pleasure is a part of what we're supposed to harness to serve God, to serve Hashem. By the same token, we have to be careful not to fall into its clutches completely. So one of this is to be a connoisseur, right? Have you ever eaten a full bucket of popcorn? So you're sitting there stuffing handful after handful into your mouth, and if someone asks you what's the best piece of popcorn, what's the best kernel, right? So most people would answer either the first or the last, right? When you kind of get to the bottom of the bucket, there's just one juicy kernel left, right? Why is that? Because the first one, your senses are on full alert. You smell the delicious smell, the butter, you anticipate the taste, you savor the saltiness of it, the crunchiness, the warmth, right? That it's a small bite of heaven, right? When you get to the end, it's, whoa, I only have this one, I am going to enjoy it. But the other 850 pieces that you ate along the way, we do mostly without any awareness at all. So the key to enjoying physical pleasure properly is to be a connoisseur, right? For a connoisseur, drinking a glass of wine is the last step in a process, right? First you open it and you smell the cork, and then you look at the body of the wine as it's being poured into the glass, and you swish it around, and then you take a small taste and you swish that in your mouth, and you feel its bouquet and its fruitiness, right? And only then do you actually swallow it. That's enjoying something mindfully. So the next time you take a drink, don't just guzzle it down, right? Passing through your mouth and into your gullet, right? Without even realizing that it's happening. Slow down and enjoy it. Becoming a connoisseur involves learning how to notice and articulate the different sensory elements of the pleasures that we partake in, right? Food tastes good, looks good, smells good, feels good, right? If we take the moment to take the physical pleasures and breathe before we ingest, right, we can actually gain the greatest level of enjoyment and therefore thankfulness from the pleasure. This is the explanation for why we make Berachas Hanehenin, the blessings over things that we enjoy, right? Because we're supposed to take a moment, recognize, one, that those things came from Hashem as a gift to us, and two, take that pause to identify and look at the beauty and the subtlety of the thing that we're about to enjoy, the experience we're about to enjoy. So once you start practicing this, a person will realize that they take more and more opportunities to look around them and see the pleasurable things. Number two of this is know that pleasure is a means, not an end. Right? Imagine inviting someone over for a 4-course dinner, and after you serve the wedge of melon as the appetizer, they get up and start to walk out. And you say, where are you going? We're just getting started. The best is yet to come. Right? So this is the Jewish view of physical pleasure. It's just a pathway, it's an appetizer to our existence. Don't make the mistake of viewing it as the entree, as the main course, because you'll never be fulfilled. So when we use it wisely, it's a stepping stone to higher pleasures. I'll probably record a separate video on Reb Noach's 5 levels of pleasure, because it's really important to know the different levels of pleasure that there are in this world. So, but using pleasure, when our bodies are energized, our souls are ready to soar. So that's number 2. Number 3 of this is the car and driver effect. Recognize that we, and guilty as charged, we have to treat our bodies properly in order to make the proper use of this enjoyment. So the Gemara says that a person should never eat, the Shulchan Aruch actually brings this down as a halacha, as a law, one should always eat 2/3 of their fill, right? Not get to the point where you're stuffed. Why is that? Because again, we need to take care of our body to fuel it, right? To fuel it so that we can do the greater things with it, or we can experience the greater pleasures and avoid abusing it. So a way to do this is to decide before you partake of the pleasure, how much of this pleasure am I going to partake in? The other aspect of this is to be careful not to use it as an escape, right? When you're upset about how much you weigh, don't run to the fridge and grab a piece of chocolate cake, right? That's obviously a vicious cycle that accomplishes nothing. Habits are hard to change, right? And no matter how determined you are, because they're ingrained responses that we have to stimulus that comes outside, to triggers, right? But it is accomplishable. People do change their habits all the time. Okay, so some applied wisdom of this is during your next meal, slow down and eat like a connoisseur. Touch, taste, smell, right? The visual. Take the time to gather that all in. And number 2 is if you're in the habit of using a physical pleasure as a form of escape, examine the triggers and see if there's some way that you can alter how you react to those triggers.